When you first create a Google account, it's going to look a little empty. In fact, I think you'll find that you're here and you're not quite sure what to do with what's in front of you. Most people create a Google Drive account for the first time because someone else has provided some files to them. What you're really seeing here is an interface that, if you have worked in Windows before, should be very familiar. This is a lot like Windows Explorer. And if you're not familiar with that term, you maybe have looked at My Computer before. In My Computer, we have a list along one side of files and drives and so on and so forth. And then as we click various things, we see folders and then files within those folders visible. And as we drill in deeper, we can expand and collapse some of these items on the side. And then we could click on any given folder and we could see the content within that folder. We also have the ability to look at this folder in a variety of ways. We can look things in some kind of a list view with previews, with information about the things in that list, or we can change to things like medium or large or extra large icons, in which we get a little bit of a preview of what we're looking at inside each thing. The individual file might kind of give us a hint as to what the file contains, or the folders may give us an idea of what is inside those folders by showing an open folder and a little bit of things inside of that. Google Drive isn't a lot different. Again, we have one drive, and then inside that drive we have a number of things. We have My Drive, which when we expand it will show us everything in My Drive. Now, if you're just coming to Drive for the first time, you don't have anything here just yet. We'll be creating that momentarily. We can expand in this left-hand menu area. We can expand and do new things in this My Drive area. Or here in this top right, we can change how we view what is in our main viewing area. By default, Google Drive is going to show you what Windows people might recognize as large icons. But we can switch to list view. It's really just a toggle, not a bunch of different choices. But this toggle can show us in list view the name of our file with an icon of what kind of file it is, who owns the file, when it was last modified, and about how big it is. We can also go back to grid view, which won't show the details of things, but will give us that icon, what kind of file this is, the name of the file, and a little preview of what we might expect in that. We can sort things. Of course, if you only have this one file, there's nothing really to sort. We can view details about an item, so we could select that item and view details, and it would tell us things about this particular file. It's a PDF file, it's 3 megabytes. It doesn't use any of our quota because it was given to us by Google. It is located in the main folder My Drive. I own it. I last modified it when I created it. I can add more information about this file by clicking Add Description, telling myself a little bit more, and I could prevent other people from being able to download this file. When I select a file like that, I can also do other things with it, such as find the link to this file if I wanted to share that link with someone, share this file with other people, preview it without actually opening it, throw it out, and then I can list more actions. I can open it with Google Docs and my local PDF files. I can move it to a different folder. I could add a star to it, which star is something you'll use for files that you use very, very, very frequently. If you overuse star, it'll basically become ineffective. If you never use star, you'll never miss it. I can rename the file. I can look at the details. I can manage versions, and I could go to previous versions. I could make a copy of it, or I could download it here to my local computer or device. If I click off of that file, it's no longer selected, so I no longer have the specific file choices here along the top. I can also, in the main Google Drive, adjust my settings, download drive to my local computer, leave the new drive, which if you have a brand new account, you may not be able to leave the new drive, and I can get help. Let's take a look at settings. One of the main things that we need to look at when we're doing settings is how we deal with files we upload. Do we want to convert the files that we upload to Google Docs editor format, or do we want to have choices about that? And we can adjust our language here as well. And we can install other apps onto Google Drive. This is a little advanced for this point in time, but that's what we're going to find in settings. So the first thing I want you to be able to do in My Drive is to organize your files. And to organize your files, you're going to need to create folders. We create folders for each group of files we might keep track of. So if you're using Google Drive for your own personal documents, as well as work correspondence, and maybe some club or organization you work with, as well as school, you might make a folder for each of those major categories. For now, I'm going to encourage you to make a folder to keep your files for our computer applications class. So we'll click New, and one of our choices is to make a folder. You want to name your folder with something that makes sense and that will help you organize your files. So I'm going to name this file Computer Applications. And hit Enter, which will also create that. Now I can see I have a folder, and I have this file that Google gave me when I started. Over here on the left, I can see in My Drive, I now have a folder, Computer Applications, and I have the ability to expand and collapse My Drive. Collapsing it will make it a little smaller here on the left-hand side, and expanding it will show the one folder that I have here. Let's go through my example of using folders to organize other data as well. So I would maybe want to make a personal folder. And then maybe I would also want to make a folder for my work files. So now I have 3 folders, and here in my main view I can see the 3 folders and any other documents I happen to have saved at the My Drive level. Here I think I'm going to move this How to Get Started with Google Drive to my Computer Applications folder, and I can do that within the file. We've already seen that if I select that, one of the things that I can do is move that folder, and I can use this menu-driven system to move it to a different folder here. For now, I'm going to hit Cancel. Or I can literally click it and drag it to where I want to, either in this main viewing area or over here on the menu on the side, just like we might do in Microsoft Windows Explorer. So now I have a My Drive that is just populated with some folders. And I'm going to do all of my work that you see in these videos within this Computer Applications folder, because this is where I'm working with my class. So here I've opened my Computer Applications folder. I can see on the left-hand menu, Computer Applications is highlighted in red, so I know that I'm inside that folder. I can also see that I'm inside that folder by this breadcrumb trail at the top. And I have choices of things that I can do with this folder. I can open the folder, I can make new folders inside the folder, I could share the folder, I can move it, and so on. One of the things you can do with a folder is you can share a folder with people. Anything you put inside of this folder will have the same share settings throughout the whole folder. So if I wanted to share this folder with my instructor, I can select this folder once I'm in it from this menu by clicking on it and select Share. I can also at any time, even if I'm like in My Drive, right-click on that folder and get the same menu that I can get by being in the folder and then clicking the folder itself. So let's take our first look at sharing in Google Drive. So if you're using the most recent version of Google Drive, this is what your share window will look like when you first open it up, and it gives you the most basic things that you need to share. You can enter an email address, and you can change what that email address can do. So right now, my other email address can edit, I have two choices of permissions that I can give specific email addresses. I can allow someone to edit, or I can allow someone to view. View is a much more restrictive way of sharing. I am able to change the permissions of individual files within this folder to be more permissive, but I'm not going to be able to change any permissions of any files in this folder to be less permissive. So you want to give the most basic permission here and then adjust your files accordingly. We can also have a little more control of what's going on here by clicking the Advanced button, and we can see that the current general access for this is private, which means only I can access it, but anyone that I invite is specifically invited. Up here is the link that I might copy and share either in an email or on some kind of social networking such as Google+, Facebook, or Twitter. Let's take a look at this private. We'll just hit the change button for a moment to see what our options are. So the normal setting, unless you have changed your general settings to be otherwise, is that we don't share anything without sharing it specifically. But we could change the share settings so that anyone with the link can see something, or anyone on the web can see something. Perhaps there are marketing materials or very public information you want to share on the web. Making a link public on the web also makes it searchable on Google. Down here, the person I have invited can view or can edit, and by default, this person will be sent an email that they have been shared on a particular document. If I don't want to send that email, I can uncheck that box. And if someone is not expecting an email, it's usually a good idea to go ahead and click this Add Message button and include a personal message about why you are sending this file. There's another button here that allows you to send a copy to yourself. This is the only way you're going to keep a copy of whatever you've typed in this private message. If you don't send a copy to yourself, the only person who'll have it will be the person you sent it to. We'll look at this last piece when we actually have some editors right now. We haven't created an editor for this particular document, so we'll look at that in a moment. And here we can hit send. And that's going to go ahead and send an email off. And I have two different versions of the same email address. I realize this, but this is two different Google accounts. We can see that I'm the owner. And this other me can view the document. I could change my permissions so that I can edit, or I can even make this other version of me be the owner of the document. Being able to change ownership makes it easier when you are no longer responsible for a particular set of documents. You can transfer that ownership off to somebody else. This X over here on the right allows us to delete someone from having access to a file. Once I have shared a folder, the folder icon itself will have a small person on it, which indicates that this folder is shared in some way. This helps remind us when we are making files in this folder that someone's able to look at these files. The other piece we have here in the main portion of Google Drive is this incoming folder. Now, these are files that have been made by someone else, but have been specifically shared with us. We can see an icon of the Google Plus person here. If they don't have a Google Plus profile, it will just show their first initial. It says who worked on it last and at what time, and an icon indicating what kind of file it is, the file name, and then some other tools to work on this. I can download this file and save it on my local computer. I can add it to my drive, and I can do even more things, such as get a link, star it, rename it, or make a copy or delete it from my files. Here we can also see the most recent files that I have worked with, anything that I have starred. If you haven't starred anything, nothing will be there. And see what is in the trash. Google will automatically empty your trash for you, unlike Microsoft, which trash will stay in the recycle bin until you actively empty the recycle bin. So that's for an overview for the main drive area. Next up, we'll take a look at making a basic word processing file in Google Drive.